Hello and welcome to the delicious recipe on a Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Uh, this is what do I call this one? Rock candy, and I have my other half there guesting in with me, sitting in for this hour. Lorilei, say hello, Lorilei.
Hello, Lorilei. No, hi everybody. How are you? Thanks for having me, Del.
Yes. So what did this have in there today? I don't know. I was sort of just thinking it's a humdrum day, and you know what? The news is depressing. I don't think anything's going to change anytime soon here. You're going to hear the same old thing about that thing that's been plaguing us for the last year. I don't really want to dwell on that because it doesn't look promising anytime soon. Uh,
Yeah.
politics stuff. Politics now is yeah, it's depressing. That's depressing as well. Nothing seems to be changing. Nothing seems to be of any good at all. Like here in Canada, we facing more and more restrictions, but that's all more depressing stuff. So I figured let's do something fun for this hour, and that's why I have my wife on here with me. Talk about some interesting stuff that stays away from that stupid virus and stupid government. I don't want to delve into that stuff too much. So, what do you got thinking in your head there, Laura Lee?
Well, since you don't want to talk about depressing stuff, I actually had a few thoughts. I mean, we've been talking about all kinds of things. So, if we're not going to talk about politics or, I mean, conspiracy, there's lots of conspiracies out there. But hey, you know what? I want to hear more because believe it or not, even though we live together, we don't always see eye to eye, obviously, like most couples, about what we watch or what we don't watch. But Dell's been doing a lot of research into little people. And I have to say, I never thought in a million years, being a psychic medium and all that other stuff that goes with it, spiritual teacher, I'm also a nurse, that I would ever have a conversation with Dell about fairies or little people.
Yeah.
And why not go there? Hey, that because you put something out to stop, and I don't know, do we need to refresh what you put out to stop them? Because tell you can share with people what happened recently with your
Oh,
corn.
oh yeah, with the cord. Yeah. So this is interesting. We've uh, if people are aware, there we had an episode that was on Paranormal Survivor and a little thing that sort of happened at our old house, and
A little
we had
thing.
we had various different things that happened there with that were sort of unexplained. I tried to debunk them 6 ways from Sunday, and that's where we sort of got into a lot of this and noticing things that were going on in that house, and it was some really perplexing things. Things had moved, people have been pushed, people have been touched, and
Bert.
we've seen things outside around the perimeter of the property, which was sort of interesting. We've talked about this many times, and you can check out that episode. It didn't do it justice, that's for sure. Would you say that, Laura?
Oh my God, no. See, what happened was it's season 4, episode 9. It's called Demonic Hauntings. You can see it on Netflix. You can see it wherever. It's on the Travel Channel, wherever. Even I know people have contacted me from Norway, over in Europe, Australia, so you can see it anywhere. But what happened was they interviewed us for 6 hours, and we even had releases signed with my ex, who I used to live in the house with, because we went through this for almost 11 years. We moved out last year. We signed a release for even Dell's stepson and my son, who has autism. Well, they went with the story. We had no idea. They interviewed us for 6 hours. We didn't speak to the psychics that commented on our episode, nor did we speak to the actors that did the reenactment. Now, Dell, I think they did you justice, but let's say the woman that played me, wow, did she take her, well, let's just say, artistic license with that role. We couldn't stop laughing the first time we watched it. It's
Yeah.
not funny. People say it's scary, but we found it funny.
Yeah. And they did leave out a lot of stuff that was out of there for, but that's the way production goes. And when the director makes up their mind for
Yeah.
something, they want to sort of skew the story however they want to present it, and that's fine. Like it was interesting. It was a fun trip anyway, so that was a good thing about it. But we noticed over here, and whether I always call it uh, well, I've been looking into these things about the stories of the little people, little ones, and we've been talking with Varla about the myth and lore of
Never.
little people, elves, fairies, and that. And she did a lot of interesting books and that. And it's been a really fun talking to her about the when we have her on there during these cycles of the solstice and equinoxes that go through the year, and you can check out past ones there with me, Laura, and Varla Ventura.
Yeah.
And I was actually, when I was talking with my neighbor next door, because I was looking into the Bigfoot Sasquatch thing, and because that's a topic that it really hasn't been sort of debunked, but there's a lot of people have had experiences of things out in the bush, and whether it is Bigfoot or Sasquatch or it could be something else. But when I asked my neighbor, and they're a native from just a, I think they're from one of the reserves up 3 hours north of Thunder Bay here, and I asked her if if she had had anything with her reserve and that about stories about Bigfoot and stuff, and she says no. We mostly talk about is the little people. And I went, wow. I says that's really odd. And then I talked to Q from Alaska, there, Nome, Alaska, and he did Xeno Hunters is a channel, you can check it out on YouTube, and that was a story there, is that they were more fascinated in these little people, and he's interviewed a lot of people that was had these accounts and interactions, and it's been actually a little bit more prevalent than I actually thought about it. And this like the stories, you always think about it, that you hear these stories, you hear about Santa Claus and the elves, you hear about fairies and gnomes and trolls and all that, and you all, and the stories that Walt Disney put out there and other movies, and then the other stuff that Hollywood put out there, that Trolls movie that make them look all nice and friendly and fun. But some of them, I guess, are like that, and other ones, I guess, they have some sort of nefarious actions, and that's what the sort of a lot of these stories and these things, that these little tricksters. And they're shapeshifters. They can be they can do a lot of stuff and play little tricks, and they've got to be really wary. That's the I guess the point that I get from people that from the reserves, and that from the Aboriginal people that talk about these things, and even D. Macaulay was. I talked to him about these little people, and he was in that. And that's just in a past show there as well, and they seem to be these little trickster stuff, and we think they might have had one of them sort of pop around or sort of tagged along over here, because this is the part that I was getting to, that she was mentioning, is that we had gotten these new iPhones at the beginning of the year, and iPhone comes with this cord that without the charger, basically. Right. So you have to get this little adapter piece to work into the old charger cord there that fits the USB from this other thing and whatever. So it was sort of interesting that with the cord that comes with it, the phone actually charges pretty fast, and that. But for some reason, I don't know when this happened or whatever, but the cord that I had that came with the phone, I no longer had that cord. I had an old iPhone cord plugged in upstairs here, and I asked Laura about this the other day. He goes, "Did you switch cords with me or something, or using it for something else?" She's like, "No, no, didn't touch your stuff."
Of yours, I would have told you.
Yeah. So I'm sort of thinking, well, this is really weird, because I don't remember or why I would change the cord for some reason like that. That seemed really sort of odd, right?
Mhm.
And it was just the whole part about it, and I was like, oh, I'll go look around, see if it was maybe downstairs or something like that. And where do I find it? I find it all rolled up nice and neat inside the iPhone box, the iPhone 12 box that's there. And I have another area downstairs, my little man cave area. So
Mhm.
underneath the TV in this box, there is the cord.
Mhm.
And I'm going, why would there's no reason why I would have done that and switched cords like that. It didn't make any sense, but
Put you on
that's a
a number and all wound up and put away. I want to give a shout out to Seraphine Hurley, fellow host. She's coming up with me next, but she says, "You guys rock." We think she rocks too. So thanks for watching, Sarah. But that's just the point, is that how did it get down there? And we had these really cool guys last night on from Bo Talks with Big Jim. It's a podcast, and they're just started out. They're really cool guys who live in California. Every now and then I like to, somebody gave me the opportunity when I first started, and it's always nice to have, people that haven't been on the network before. And they were, sharing some interesting stories. And so Dell grabbed, and I'm glad you did, because you've grabbed it once before, but when we moved in, and we have a big German Shepherd dog. You guys usually see her on my show. She always knows when it's over and thinks she's a lap dog and knocks me over, but thinking she's going to get on camera. But she has this llama that is so floppy, like she flings it around or whatever, right?
Yeah.
We're here, and
Oh,
Dell's, you going to grab it? Okay. He's
yeah.
sitting right there, and I have a chair right across from him. And we were sitting there, and we literally finished each other's sentence. He goes, "Did you just see that?" I said, "The llama stood up and took 2 steps." It literally did. See how floppy that is? There's no way that thing could have, I'm getting goosebumps, that could stand up. And it did. Like, we both saw it, and it flopped over. We just like, what the heck, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. That was really weird because like it's there was no wind or nothing like that that would have picked it up, and
Gross. Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
the dog wasn't by it, didn't fling it or anything like that. There was just we just both noticed that, and it's like, wow, did that thing just stand up and then fall over? Like that's pretty peculiar. And then this thing with the little iPhone cord for the iPhone 12, I was like, that was sort of really weird. Like, why would that sort of happen? That's why we have this little guy here. He's our little go-to protector guy. Laura makes these things there, so hit her up if she.
Yeah, I make gnomes, I make resin, I make all kinds of stuff. We're gonna be opening a shop soon. So thank you for telling people that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you've had a few things. Like, remember around Christmas, it was maybe it was in the new year. I remember he came upstairs and he said, "You're not gonna believe this. I was outside, I was coming in the house. I felt like something jump on my back, like hot, right? Remember?"
No,
And
that was one, but the one that was actually sort of recently was is I was we have a dehumidifier downstairs, and if people know what that is, it sucks the moisture out of the air, so it helps keep the basement dry, so it doesn't get moldy and stuff like that. So I'd gone downstairs to empty the dehumidifier, and as I come up the stairs, and there's a door that shuts to go downstairs. That's also to keep the animals out from getting into a bunch of stuff.
yeah,
And as I was sort of turning around, shutting the door, I felt a hand go between my shoulder blades all the way down, and I heard like a fabric moving together, right? And I sort of just froze with my hand on the door as I'm shutting it, and I'm thinking to myself, did I just back into the wall? Because it sort of goes into like a little cubby, or the other door was open or something like that, which was sort of weird. And it was just like a hand just come all the way down between the shoulder blade, about a good like I'd say about 18 inches or so. And I went, wow, that was sort of a little weird. Maybe something's telling me, hey, that remember us, we're still around here.
well, the
Who-
thing, and it was an interesting question that they're both named Jimmy from last night, and Dell joined me last night. That's why I'm bringing it up. And Big Jim wasn't familiar with our story. I knew Jimmy, or Bo. That's why it's called Bo Talks. Bo was familiar with our story, and his dad asked the question of us last night. Well, who's got the attachment? And it was an interesting question. It was one that you would jump to. And as far as we know, neither one of us have an attachment per se. But I explained to him, from working in the paranormal for so long, as well as what I do, that, and being in connection with spirit, I'm something called very clairaudient. No, I don't hear voices. It's within your own mind's eye, but you can tell by the messages you get. And if, for example, I forget what I was supposed to do something, and I'd forgotten about it, and I literally heard the reminder. Now, if I had ignored it, would something bad have happened? No, but I did it, and it's usually something positive. So no, I'm not possessed. Elle's not possessed. But the reason I mention this is that spirit has shown me on the other side that everything on the other side, across the veil, if you will, whatever it is, we're all energy, right? It's just little pinpricks of light. But people that are aware of gifts, or are very intuitive, empathic, you have gifts, I have gifts, both my children have gifts. It looks like a bonfire on the other side. So it's very easy for the good to see you. But we need to remember that living on Earth, we live in a 3D existence where there's always an alternative, right? There's hot, there's cold, there's light, there's dark, there's good, there's bad. We also have negative entities that should not be here that can see us as well. And once they know you and they know your name, they don't forget at all. So
Mhm.
that was the easy, simple explanation. But mhm.
Yeah, like it's like any of this stuff, like even the part with the little the little camel toy or whatever you want to call this thing, giraffe, or I
I
don't even
call
know.
I don't know if he
I
is. He's
know
wrong
what
yet.
this thing.
I don't know what he is.
I know what that is. But anyways, with that, but even other things like nothing's been anything that's been sort of
Not like
detrimental or nefarious and stuff like that. And I was sort of equated to the part that maybe it's just something that's sort of poking around, saying, "Hey, just remember us," and we, that something's around there. Like we've had stuff that's gone missing and all of a sudden reappear. Like I remember the car keys place. I put them in a certain area every single time, and then find them in the freezer or something like that. And you think, oh, well, maybe you just forgot as you were leaving and you stuck them in the freezer,
well,
right?
you said to me if I'm looking for something, did you check the freezer? Did you check wherever? But the thing is too to remember, right? And if you're not aware of it, this is something that very easily could start a bit some bickering and arguing and really vibrational energy drops, right? Because then that's what these things feed on. So they like to instigate situations. And I've talked to other people that have been through severe paranormal activity. Same thing. They want everybody arguing, being pissed off at each other, not talking. So we're kind of aware of that, you and I. So
Yeah, that was that was sort of interesting. But getting into the another part, this is another part why this I find this sort of a depressing sort of Tuesday is that yesterday our youngest that's with us, I guess he was playing this game called Call of Duty, and he was online, and he was playing with ever in a group, and he had called out somebody for cheating, right? And I guess and with his autism, that he takes offense to that and whatever. And the person that was on there, I'm sort of still mystified in how this happened and how they were able to do this. Is that he said, okay, the person that he called out cheating says, "Hey, well, prepare. Your parents are going to get mad at you. I'm wiping out your internet."
hi to your internet.
Yeah, and so this guy, whatever, he had shut down all the internet in our house there, just disconnected it, and
Yeah.
but and then you were on with the person from our internet provider and talking to them, and they can go and see how many devices are plugged in there and stuff like that. So out of
Yeah.
this whole big huge kerfuffle of calling out somebody for cheating in a game, the guy disabled our internet here. Then we found we had to end up having to change all our
Well,
passwords here.
identified device connected to our account. And when I called, the guy knew what I was talking about. He had heard of this before in tech support. As soon as he heard that, he took me very seriously. He goes, "Oh my God, yeah, we need," because I said, we have security measures, very easy to identify who you are. And he said, "No, I don't think I need that." When I explained it all, he went, "Oh, yeah, right away. We need to get into your account." So we discussed it, Dell and I. This guy was great, by the way. I'm going to give T Baytel a huge shout out in Thunder Bay. They're amazing local ISP providers. And he was in no hurry, even though I had to wait like almost an hour. So, the guy had people lined up, but he takes his time to help whoever's on the phone. And so he goes, "No, we need to get in there." And that's what I love about it because we don't actually control our router. Our ISP provider does. We used to be with a different, and you're responsible. If something happens, they're responsible and they can check. So we talked about, it's going to be a pain to change the password. But this guy said, like, if this guy's on your network, all he has to do is grab a different device and he's in. So when I was talking to Nate, because with what we're going through in Canada, the bandwidth is being used up quite a bit by the local ISP provider. So we need to increase our speed. I didn't even get a chance to tell you this before we went live. And the guy was talking to another great guy. And he said, "Are you serious?" He goes, "I've never heard of that." And he said, "God, I would have used that. I would have loved to have had that when my kids were young and get them off the internet." He was joking. But I to people, I'm not a tech expert in any sense, but it's a little bit of a hobby of mine. And the other thing I do, and I would never in a million years do this to anybody, I don't think I'd know how, but I do go on hacking sites to see what kind of viruses are out there, what are white hats coming up with in the way of a cure, if you will, or what kind of programs are out there that can do what this kid did. And there are programs out there.
Yeah, that's what I just found. That was so amazing that that they were able to do that so
You would
quickly and so fast. And like
that?
you, you have to look at this also another way too, is that you have a lot of these companies out there that want you to pay for firewalls and this super encryption and stuff like that. And you figure that with the network that even with the TB Tel that we're with their network that there's got to be some sort of safeguards and stuff like that. And this guy just zipped right through it and shut down every device in the house. And it was like,
You
wow, this
Me, because I do a
yeah,
lot of resin work, like I mentioned, but I've commandeered our dining room. So the light shines, we're in Dell's, like, doing research or whatever. So we have a little curtain that we put up. And I was going to put it up for him because I was about to do something, and the internet went out. And I remember him saying, "What did you kick? Did you kick something?" I go, "No, I didn't touch anything." And we couldn't figure out what it was. And then our son came down finally and told us, and we had said, we're not going to get angry with you. You need, both of us talked to him separately and said, you need to tell us, like, because we'll help you with what's going on. You never ever have to be afraid to tell us anything.
yeah.
Look,
So that sort of
panic.
that's
No,
sort
I
of an interesting thing like that sort of just really amazed me about I know there's a super hacker we watch a lot of that stuff from those like devere and stuff like that where they go and go after these India the country where all they have these scam phone in stuff for your computer where they go and scam North Americans and
or
Europeans out of money.
the IRS and that you owe so much money. I think Seraphine is still listening. I think she got a phone call, or it was another one of my friends recently. So what he does, and I love it, there's two guys we watch, but Devere is one. He has quite a few different people that work with him with the voices. He's a white hat hacker. So he's
Yeah.
got amazing hacking skills, but instead of hurting people with them, he gets these guys shut down so they can't, because he get elderly people, people that are disabled, and they take their money. They get their credit card saying they're going to fix it, and these people get
And yeah, they imitate like
robbed.
uh, uh, Apple devices or Microsoft or your computer, HP, and they or AV like some virus thing or whatever. And a lot of people that aren't sort of computer savvy or up to date know a lot of this stuff. There, you could look at something, and this is even we noticed this before. Was I think it was with AVG or McAfee or something like that. There was a fake one that was out there that looked exactly like
Yeah.
the other virus program, but what it did was it was for them and stealing all your information and that. But that's a lot of people that like they'll have it even with I think Apple says this or that is that if you don't have we'll never send you a message like that. We'll send it to something else. We'll never go that direction route and just be aware that like, we're not going to just send a pop up onto you. You've been this is from
Mhm.
Apple or whatever. So, but yeah, that was just crazy there that this kid was able to do that and shut down a system like that so quickly and easily. And just
I
glad.
unblock him at first, but I still can't remember what it was Dell said to me. We were talking about this, and all of a sudden it hit me. That's not going to stop him. He's in our network. So that's what made me call, because he still could have been in our God. And once you're in your network, you can go into anything.
Yeah.
So, and there was an unrecognized device that we never found out what it was. So we think he was in our network, actually.
Yeah, because it hasn't even popped up with re-putting and rebooting all the other systems there and changing all the passwords and that. And that one, I haven't noticed it that it's actually come back up again. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's just crazy stuff. I guess that yeah, be aware out there of who you're playing or playing around with on the internet. I guess that's a question, a good way to sort of look at it there.
As
So
I was just going to say quickly, Del, we checked the name. He didn't have a picture, but for somebody to say to you, say goodbye to your internet, your parents, I won't use the word they use, but your parents are going to be really angry with you. Now, they could have been an adult, but to me, it seems like it probably was a teenager.
yeah, that's crazy. So, what other sort of great things out of there? I've been sort of trying to stop. I do these little things over a couple of days and stuff like that, where I just have to unplug from the news and I just can't listen to this stuff anymore because it just sort of it is depressing and it's just like the things that I know that I would like to do or see happen. The opposite is happening, and it just sort of is depressing that way. So I've been watching a lot of movies and watching a lot of stuff from China. These really interesting Chinese War of the Gods sort of thing. There movies which are sort of interesting and like Journey to the East, if anybody's familiar with that sort of story.
Mhm.
And been watching a lot of videos, documentaries on the origins of our existence and how we came to be. And
Yeah.
it's sort of really interesting that everybody's got a theory and everybody thinks they're right about how life for humans sort of started on here. Some think it's if you think religiously that it was that sort of the creation stuff there, Adam and Eve. Other people think it's aliens that populated and changed us from a monkey. There's a lot of I don't know, lot of different stories out there, and I guess I sort of look at it this way. I think maybe there's a little part of realism in each of them. I don't think they're all totally correct, but maybe like a lot of stories overlap in their theories and that, but maybe a little bit sort of correct. What do you
I'll
think?
I'll tell you, okay, I agree with you 100% on what you're saying because, yeah, is there, I don't think we're ever really going to know, but yeah, there could be a little bit of realism in everything. But I heard something really interesting. It's so funny we're having this conversation because I haven't had a chance to tell you this. There is somebody out there, and I won't get deep into conspiracy, or we'll give Joe Montaldo a shout out, the owner of UPRN, and he's our producer. He makes our job easy, he does all the hard work for us. He also is host of many shows on the network. But he calls me conspiracy princess because he says he has a friend that is the queen of conspiracy. And I say I usually don't talk about things unless I can prove it or other people can research it on their own and find it. Now, this came up. I'm on the fence about this, but the reason why, and I call it putting it back on the proverbial back shelf. I can't prove it. I can't disprove it. It's got something in it that bears watching, and either something will come into my field and give me more information, or I'll be able to disprove it. This person has put out that they think that they are part of the 17th letter of the alphabet, we'll say, okay? Again, this isn't about the organization because some people are pro, some people are against. But the reason why I mention it is they say they were part of the original. They say that the 17th letter alphabet, it has indeed been infiltrated, but the reason why I mention it, and it holds a bit of weight, they're talking about how to get over all of this, how to come out of this depression. And again, probably heard many woo-woo people in the light worker field talk about raising your vibration. This is exactly what this person is pushing. Staying away from some of the news. Like you said, you just got to disconnect. I've done it lately too, because it's just so depressing, but what they're talking about, some of the stuff is they said that our calendar has actually been set ahead 1,000 years compared to what it is. Have you heard anything about that at all? I thought that was really interesting.
I know I know what I've looked at with the calendar is that are the dates are sort of a little bit wrong. There's a when they changed over, I think from the Gregorian or into the Gregorian calendar. I can't remember with Alexander the Great and stuff like that. When they sort of unified dates and times and that there's sort of there was a skip. There was missing days that were popped out of that. I know there's a theory there is that they figure that the Dark Ages, that why there's not much history about that, is that's part of this 1,000 years or whatever that we're in the apocalypse right now, like that this is the end times. So that's a theory that's out there. But I know that there's a lot of change in the parts with dates and stuff like that and how things match up. And I think there a lot of people were talking about how the Mayan calendar and how the epochs of that time there sort of work and how everybody's sort of always guessing at stuff, right? And until unless you can travel back in time and look what the dates are and calculate stuff.
Thing that's interesting to me, okay, is they pop a lot of stuff up on the screen behind their videos. Their YouTube channel was shut down within 2 days, so they have to keep popping up. They flash a lot of stuff behind the screen. I've taken some screenshots, and they popped up a patent number that I took a look at that I blew my mind. I didn't know it existed. We could do a whole show on that. But what they talk about that resonated with me, and I talk about this as a spiritual teacher and mentor, and I keep saying to people, we are capable of so much more than we've ever been told, ever believed. And Paul Anthony Wallace, who I know you're having on here very shortly, was able to introduce you to. We were talking about this about people that have had head injuries, near death experiences. And when they come to or awaken, it's like a light switch has been flipped on and they either have a new ability or a new gift. This person is claiming that they're going to show people the way to turn that on. So why not take a look? Some of the stuff that they've shared, actually, I have been able to verify to be true. They're calling out a lot of people that are giving people dates and a lot of these conspiracy theories that a certain president is coming back and blah, blah, blah. That's not true.
Mhm.
So the thing is, there's a lot of truth to it, but I'm still, again, it's back on the proverbial shelf. I'm just waiting to see what they bring forward and what they say. They could very well just be a shill, as you and I call it, out there putting out propaganda. Who knows? Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, that's sort of that's been a big topic that's sort of been happening. I've noticed a lot about this. Well, maybe it's more likely because I follow a lot of channels that are sort of dealing with this
It was,
spiritual or paranormal and that, and people have been talking about this raising your energy and unlocking gifts and
mhm,
uh, decalcifying your pineal gland and
but mhm.
eating healthier to getting away from the GMO foods and stuff that's been heavily genetically modified by Monsanto stuff, all these poisons that's in there. And that was actually even a article that, or I think it was a Joe Rogan podcast from last week there about plastics and I wish I could remember what the name of this stuff was that gets leached out of plastics and how it affects uh, the sexuality, the sperm count in males and in women, causing
Quality.
uh, problems with keeping with miscarriages and stuff like that. And then you have to look at too is that I don't want to get into this whole topic. I don't want to talk about that the C thing, but the we're seeing this a lot with around the world is that whether they're testing medicines in other places and that, or even throughout that, there's a lot of talk about people having pregnancy issues, and just even two friends of the family and my thing there is that they've had fertility
And
issues, and
you
they're younger than me, so like
but I'm an infertility survivor. Both my children, I'm very lucky to have. I was told I'd never have any. I used to run an infertility support group. It was around the time I met you that I kind of put that on the back burner when we started going out. But yes, and it's a common problem and it's becoming more and more and more of an issue. And again, Dal, you say this many times on your show or on the host chats that if it's not in your bubble, it doesn't become part of your periphery, so it's not like it's something that's of utmost importance to talk about unless you're going through it or you know someone, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
yeah, no, that's exactly right, and that's I guess with me when I do lots of research and go through and looking at different stuff to have topics in that, I've been noticing a lot of things
Mhm.
with dealing with here in North America mostly is that there's a huge part with obesity, but also a big problem there is the health of what you're bringing into your body, and a lot of the food that's available that's the cheapest food is the most toxic food
That's
that there is in all the packaging. I know I mentioned this before about what Canada's doing here in 2021 by the end of 2021 is to remove plastic out of a lot of the parts, a lot of the stores and stuff like that. I believe it's plastic bags, a lot of to-go containers that are plastic, coffee cup lids, cutlery, and they're all supposed to be outlawed by the end of this year up here. And I think
what
there's
we do though with us all home, right? Like we need some kind of container. It's not you can go drop a container off and then go get them to fill it up and bring it home.
yeah, that's sort of an interesting thing, and I talked about this a little bit on an episode. Is that you have to look around your house and think about how much plastics impact your daily life. What is like I could from here where I'm sitting right now, this couch, this table,
I
this iPad,
last
this this clock that I do for watching the show or watch the time on for the show, but to I could not take us one step away from where I'm sitting right now and not touch plastic, and
Yep,
that's sort of an interesting sort of thing. And then you have to wonder too is they have these big huge they're called EYRE. There's I think there's a Pacific R air. I'm going to screw up that word, but basically it is just the floating the way the current works in the Pacific Ocean, North Atlantic. I think there's like 8 major ones that go around in all the major oceans and seas around the Earth, and that's where this a lot of this plastic gets dumped into the ocean, sort of spins around. The one that I think there was a documentary about it was the one that was in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California, which I think is supposed to be one of the biggest ones. And that's where all this stuff is. The plastic slowly getting down and breaking down into stuff. Then you got to figure how this gets into the fish and into the wildlife, and then the fishing market that does that and captures these fish, and it's polluted into the body, into the fish, and then we
No,
consume it. So we're getting it twofold in the packaging that you buy for the fish or whatever animal stuff like that. Then you're ingesting it again, right? And it's sort of interesting how much this sort of the system, and what we never really considered in the beginning time, right? We always thought that like plastics were such a great thing because they were light, durable. They saved us a lot of stuff. Lightweight, good for camping and your lunches at work, wrapping in saran wrap and stuff like that, and putting in your Ziploc bag. And but we never ever thought, or it was never really considered about the discarding of it afterwards. And how do you? And that seems to be a big thing. Like the tire.
are made, they've got a plastic liner on the outside. How many people use cloth? I mean, there's some people that are. There's a lot of work and a lot of expense to go to cloth diapers with a baby. You have a newborn, you can go through 30, 40 diapers sometimes in a day or day and a half, no problem. And they don't break down and they're plastic.
Yeah,
We didn't, right? We never thought of this. Or not
yeah.
we, but started this. Yeah.
Well, that was the big thing that I went and looked in with the whole thing of recycling, and we we've mentioned this sort of before, and I find out how much of a joke it is because the amount of stuff that actually gets recycled, and we just actually had an issue about this last month. It had cans and plastic with some cardboard in there, and got a note from the recycling guy. He wouldn't pick it up because I didn't have it separated properly, and but but the other guy that was picking up the recycling for the past year and stuff like that, he had said, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all going into the same place. Just throw it all in the same bag." But I guess the new guy started the route, and I guess he's like, "No, I want it all separated." So then I had to went through on the Thunder Bay recycling site and find out what is actually being recycled, what they'll actually accept, and it's actually pretty limited. A lot of
I
this stuff.
shocked because the containers have recyclable number two, recyclable. No, 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 no. When you told me, I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
Well, a lot of the stuff that's it, they're like ones and twos. Yes, those are recyclable. A lot of stuff like the ketchup bottles and stuff like that. But when it comes to plastic packaging, that's not recyclable. Even though it's plastic, like that they want that in the garbage. And then you go through it like you get a lot of stuff that's delivered in that's wrapped in plastic or like bubble wrap. You figure, oh, that's plastic. Throw it in there. Anything plastic, throw it in recycling that. But no, they actually wanted. They don't want that stuff.
mhm,
And
yeah,
the reason being out of this is that there's only certain types of plastics that are worthwhile that can be recycled, that the recycling companies can make money. See, this is an interesting part that I talked about before, is that China used to accept a lot of our recycling and stuff like that. It all used to be sent over there. Well, they stopped that a couple years ago. So now we have companies here, like here in Canada. It's not worth it to recycle. It costs too much. It's better just to go and make new plastics. It's cheaper, and then plus it's also stronger. It's more. It's newer, right? Instead of doing the recycling thing and reusing stuff. So it all comes down to money, right? That's how it
ev-
mostly.
money, everything, everything. Hmm.
Yeah, so that was sort of interesting when you're looking at it, and if you people want to go and look into, there's a lot of documentaries you can find these on YouTube as well, and other sites and that about what is actually being recycled and the cost effectiveness and where some of this stuff goes. A lot of this, since China stopped, it goes to another third world country, and they go until they get fed up with it, and then they stop, right?
I
And this.
realized that and it's costing too much money, even with less wages being paid. Plus, I think what I caught a bit of that when you were watching that, the amount that they actually get if they can recycle, it's got to be scrupulously clean. There's so many rules, and they really get next to nothing by the time they're break it down and recycle. It takes so much to make another piece. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. It's cost effective.
Yeah, that's sort of interesting. Then one big thing, I guess, is the plastic bags, and I don't know how you feel about this, and people out there in the ether how they feel about. But I use the plastic bags a lot from the grocery bags is for my garbage cans, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's a lot easier than doing that than using a big huge garbage can.
Dog. Okay. So when she goes number two, I'm the one that does it because Dell has a weaker stomach than I do. So, or so he says. So I do it. And for example, I was just telling him today, I don't know what it is with this dog. She can go outside, I'll go clean everything up and I'll wait. I can throw the ball, have her running around, whatever. She will not go, right? The minute I sit down and have a fresh air break, the dog goes again. So I need two bags. And believe me, those little doggy doo-doo bags, they're no good. I need those big bags and we are out. Like if I can get one, I get one, right? I don't care
Yeah,
if I for it because they're I think they're 5 cents here a bag in Canada, but we're not going to have them. We were just talking about this. What are we going to do when we don't have them because we use them for so many things?
yeah,
Mhm.
that's sort of an interesting sort of a conundrum that goes with that, and then how what they're trying to do here with outlying plastics. I think it's supposed to be by this whole part of this Agenda 2030 thing, and this has been a topic that's been discussed many times on my show and on your show and that about phasing out certain things and this inclusiveness and this whole utopia whatever this I want to say fruitopia, but utopia that they have in mind for this one world order to unite everybody is whatever kumbaya, blah blah blah.
Happy. You won't have meat. It'll just be a rare treat. That
Yeah,
was part of the commercial.
yeah, that whole thing there about things instead of getting away from being healthier, they want to give you more processed foods and fake
Right.
stuff that they can grow in a test tube and then whatever like it's unbelievable that they think that that's better than eating natural, but you gotta also wonder too is like I've been trying to grow stuff in the garden, trying even in the house and that doing some little farmer in the dell stuff, and and it's and I'm just some of the seeds that we get there and it comes in these packaging. I'm just they're crap. Like
Mhm.
they don't really want to take and they're really hard to grow. And I've been watching.
Where you get them from. I guess maybe if you went to an organic place here that is actually a farming place and you could find some seeds. Like some of the stuff I've got, it came out early and I happen to be at Dollarama. Yeah, we might get crap with that. We know that. But I've spent money on seeds, like $8 for a package of something from last year, and they didn't grow, right?
Yeah, it was just sort of interesting. And I've watched all these do-it-yourself shows on the computer on YouTube and how to grow things and temperatures and correct light stuff and pH balances in the. I think I
And you
actually you
mhm.
get pretty scientific with a lot of this stuff here in growing things, and it's just surprising that these weak strained seeds or whatever that coming out. And I always found this sort of interest because you remember when at the beginning of last year in March when things shut down, one of the things that it was big in that I think it was that Governor Whitmer in Michigan or Wisconsin or whatever they were stopping certain items to be bought in stores at that time, right? And one thing was gardening equipment and seeds and stuff like that. And
We're boat right now. We're in that boat in Canada. Mhm.
yeah, and it's sort of really interesting that this whole thing we've talked about this many times about what is essential and what the government deems essential compared to what the rest of the population deems essential is that
Not
the
a
the boats are in two different oceans. They're not even communicating with each other. So that's an interesting predicament. And I don't want to talk. I said I didn't want to go into that negative crapple of the sickness and government, but
positive. So wherever you are, if that might be you might want to look at if you're able to get seeds or whatever, growing your own food because, if you don't have to, I mean, you're not going to get away from maybe what's in your soil, but it's a lot healthier than say some of the other things you can buy. So that's a positive, right? Making people aware of that you can do that.
Well, yeah, that too, and you got to figure is that for a lot of people that don't have a large backyard space or yard space, like we don't have a very big area in the backyard. Like we're not going to be planting a garden big enough to give us food for the three of us for a whole year. This is more like just get a
Oh,
couple things that are just to see
mhm.
how it sort of works and that. And it's also there's not much else to do out there with everything being shut down. See, it always comes back to that
Well,
crap.
you got a greenhouse, so well, we're still getting a little bit of snow off and on. Some days you can go t-shirt, you can probably put shorts on, and then the next day, we've had a bit of snow. Dell and I said that though. We've said to a few people, nope, it's not gone yet, because we can get it right till the beginning of May. It'll
Oh
get it
yeah. Well,
done.
even in May long weekend, which is like the third week of May, we there's snow. I've had snow. I remember one time I was in this staking rush and a prospecting rush that was you had to for a mining claim, and I was north or south of Timmins, north of Sudbury, which is closer to the southern part of Ontario, but it's whatever. And June 1st, that night was 8 a.m. is when the claims opened up that you could go and restake them all and then get them there. And that night we had a snowstorm. So where it was that whole week beforehand was we were in t-shirts. It was like super hot in the bush, almost like 80 degrees Fahrenheit and stuff like that. June 1st morning, there was almost 6 inches of snow on the ground. It was it was like wow, it's like you never know what you can expect here in when it comes into weather. And not that we all live in igloos. We don't live in igloos.
Right. Tell them about our sled dogs.
Yeah,
We eat back bacon and with maple syrup. That's it.
yeah. But lots of interesting stuff. Like that's like people. I guess even when they hear about it, like in the states, like they don't really consider how big Canada is. Like Canada is actually bigger than the states. Actually, Ontario is bigger than Texas.
Mhm.
So for as in for square footage wise, like it's actually a pretty large province compared to Texas. And Texas is, I think, is besides Alaska, I think is whatever the biggest in the states there. But yeah, just interesting stuff. So didn't want to do a show about doom and gloom, but
I think this was fun. I think we kind of went all around the world and back again, and we didn't get negative. I think
yeah,
we shared some information that people could use, maybe they didn't know about.
yeah. So that's about it for the delicious recipe for tonight's episode. Laura Lee's going to be on next with Seraphine with Trip in the Void, so you guys can stick around and stay tuned to that.
We're
And
talking
and the
rich,
other part,
so it should
other
be
part
sorry, Del, go ahead.
the other part there too is if you want to check out, send stories. I'm still looking for stories, the delicious stories at gmail.com. And I'm looking for just stories of the unexplained, paranormal, Bigfoot encounters, little people encounters, ghost encounters, anything like that. Just share your stories there, and I'll print them out in on a page and maybe do a show once a month here on your stories. I'll keep them confidential. The part there, I won't expose your name or anything like that. I'll keep that all private unless you to be known and stuff like that. And I'll do the courtesy of that. But just to send these stories in, and then we'll see maybe other people having same experiences out there, and it's just sort of make this big world a little bit smaller.
That's true. So,
Yes. So we'll say goodbye to Laura. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. And I say goodbye to the rest of you out there in Ether. Take care.
see you next week.